Hey my lovelies, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'm going to do a set using one of the Cozy Collection Elite glitters, which is the Nail Team's glitter of the week. So if you'd like to see how I created this set, keep watching. So working on my Liza hand today, and the star of this design is the beautiful Esmea from the Cozy collection that was released last year. This beautiful sort of coppery bronze fine glitter. So I chose some simple colours for this set. So I'm using hazel, which is a beautiful soft brown. I've then got angel white, just a little pop of white in this set, and then I'm going to be using one of the cover acrylics. I chose Peachy Peach. I thought it worked quite nicely with this particular glitter, and of course a little bit of crystal clear, and as always I'm going to start off with crystal clear and apply my thin clear base. So for this design I applied, there's some of the gems tips, I honestly can't remember. It could be the stiletto, it could be the square, it could be the coffin. To be honest, it doesn't really matter which ones, because I cut them down to a more salon usable length, and I've then shaped them into an almond shape. I am loving this length and shape at the moment, so it'll definitely be featured a lot more on my channel in coming videos. So I'm just finishing off doing that thin clear base, and then we can get started on the design. So the middle finger is going to be a Colourblock nail, so there's going to be a lot of toing and froing and coming back to this nail, but I'm starting off with Peachy Peach, and I'm just doing a little block in sort of bottom quarter of the nail. So I've sort of split the nail in my head in half, and then I've split it in half again, and I've gone a little bit short of that half, if that makes sense. So I'm using my brush to push and shape those walls. I'm not worrying too much about building structure because I'm going to cap, and I'm just leaving that to set ever so slightly so that I can trim the excess away with my craft knife. And on the ring finger I'm just doing a reverse smile line. So first bead I'm getting that smile line shape, I'm blending the bead back, then just using the sides of my brush just to shape that smile, get right up into the wings, just get that shape as neat as I can. Again, I will file this so it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want to do as much work as possible with the brush. And once I'm happy with that smile line, I'm going to go back to that Colourblock, and I'm just going to use my craft knife just to trim away any excess, so I've got a nice straight line. This means I don't have to do any filing, I can just move straight on to the next colour. If you are not confident with a craft knife, there are alternatives. You can use like dental floss or string, well not string, cotton, or just do as much as you can with your brush and then use your file. If you do use a craft knife, please be extra careful with your clients. Once I've done that, I'm going to leave that acrylic to fully set, and I'm going to finish off my smile line. So I'm doing, or my nail bed should I say, so I'm doing my second bead from the cuticle. This is where I'm going to get my apex in place, just going to add a bit more if I need it, and then just blending that into the first bead, keeping that nice smile line shape just right. So as you can see, I've just gone in with a touch more to build up the apex, and just blending that into that smile line bead, and then just wiping around, making sure I've got a nice neat line, but I will file it because I can't cut that. So I'm going to move back to my Colourblock nail, and I'm going to do just a tiny little block of white acrylic. This is literally just like a strip. So I picked up my bead, drained out as much of the liquid as I could, and then I've placed it on, and I'm going to go the half the nail and then just a little band. So pressing it down with the belly of my brush and then just using the side to push that wall up, make it so that it is straight with that first block, and just getting it how I want it. And then I will come in with my craft knife and tidy it up. Now you want to cut the acrylic as it is semi-set. If it's too set, the knife won't go through, but if it's too wet, it will just blur everywhere. So here you can see I'm just taking a nice straight line across the bottom, and on the side I just completely lined it up with that first block, and just getting rid of any little excess there. And then I'm going to leave that colour to fully set, moving back to my smile line, and I'm going to do like a band of white around the smile line. I'm not fully covering the tip with the white, this is just a band, so I've kind of worked in two halves. So place the bead in the middle, sort of where that Colourblock, where the smile line ends, and then I'm pushing it right up into the wings of one side, and I'm just sort of pressing and blending it down on the other side so I can add a second bead and have a nice join between the two beads. Pushing this one right up into the wings, then I'm going to use sort of the side of my brush to push in that wall around the smile line, make sure it is nice and even on both sides, make sure I've got the same height all the way round. I will then file it so I can refine the surface of it to make sure I've got the same sort of width of that band all the way round, but want to do as much as I can with the brush to limit file time. And then once I'm happy with that, I'm just gonna, or once I'm happy with the application, I'm gonna leave it to set and move on to the next nails. Now before I move on, with the Colourblock nail, I've done it similar to how I did my Christmas candy cane, in that I'm gonna gently file over at the end and then encapsulate in clear acrylic. So I'm not worrying about structure, but I do want nice, neat, straight lines. The pinky and the index are really super simple. I am using hazel. This is such a pretty colour. It's a really nice neutral nude brown, but it's quite a wearable one. So I'm just going to do a full nail of this on the pinky and the index, painting it on nice and thin, so I'm going to add some glitter. Just going back and adding a little bit if I feel it was a bit patchy in places, but again, this is such a pigmented acrylic that you really can just paint this on nice and thin and then do all your strength with clear acrylic. Once the pinky was done, I'm going to do that last block on the first half of my Colourblock nail using hazel, so getting again right up to that first block. I don't really want to overlap the colours, but if I do, it's not going to matter, because as I said, I'm just going to file away to get nice straight lines before I encapsulate. I'm just going to use the side of my brush just to push that so I've got a nice straight line all the way down the centre of the nail. Just really pushing it up so that it's completely butted up against that white line. Do as much as I can to straighten that line, but again, I'm going to come in, I am going to do a line with my craft knife, or cut away with a craft knife, so it's a nice straight line, and then I can focus on the second half of the nail, just adding a touch more here. And I actually refined the surface of this nail before I did, of this half before I did the second half, so I just gently filed over sort of with a 180 grit file, just to tidy up those lines a bit. Here you can see I'm just getting rid of any excess. I did just file away that little bit that was left on that half of the nail as well. This one was a little bit wet still when I came to chop it away. And then I'm going to do another full cover on the index finger of hazel. So I'm going to shush now and just let you watch applying this acrylic. So here is all the acrylic. I'm going to file that white smile line. I'm going to refine that first half of the Colourblock, and then we're going to add in the glitter. So here you can see it is all filed. Now on the 2 full hazel nails, I'm doing a swoosh. On the pinky, I'm starting it at the cuticle and I'm just pushing it down, and on the index finger I'm starting at the tip and I'm swooshing it up. So starting slightly thicker at the cuticle, and then I'm just sort of fading it down into a little bit of a point. So little bead of clear acrylic into the glitter, nice and wet, so I can really push and tidy up that sort of line of the swoosh and not have glitter on the nail where I don't want it. And yeah, it's just using the very tip of my brush just to push it and prod it and move it and get it into the shape that I really wanted that swoosh. I was a little bit more particular about this than I normally am because I had a vision. I had a vision in my head and I wanted to make sure. So I was a bit particular, even more so than me, to get that just so. On the ring finger, where I've done that reverse nail bed and smile line, I'm just filling in the rest of the nail with Esmea glitter. I do need to encapsulate the glittered part of the tip, so just keeping it nice and thin, getting right up to the white, right up in those wings, and I'm just wiping away any glitter that I get on the white or the nail bed colour as well. It should all file off at the end when you refine the surface of the nails with your finish file, but I do like to try and keep myself as tidy as possible just to be on the safe side. And it is only the glitter that needs encapsulating on this nail. I've got the correct I've got the correct structure, put my teeth in, with the cover powder and the white. So here you can see I'm just cleaning off that, and I'm going to let the glitter set. Back onto my Colourblock nail, and I'm going to do the full half of this in glitter. So trying to keep it off of that other half as much as I can, because I've refined that, I've got that just how I want it, and so I don't really want to encapsulate any glitter in that now. So just wiping down with a clean wet brush, pushing right up to the cuticle, right into all the nooks and crannies, and just straightening up that line. Again, I need to encapsulate this entire nail because I didn't build any structure or strength with my first 3 blocks. So I'm keeping this nice and thin, just patting it in, patting it down, and then we'll be ready to encapsulate that entire nail. Just filling in any little gaps. I want full coverage, and then once I was happy, I just gave a good wipe away on that second half to get rid of any little glittery bits that I didn't want. I then did go over with like a wash of clear acrylic, just to completely stick all that glitter in place, so that when I did come to encapsulate it, I didn't accidentally get any glitter on the half of the nail I didn't want it. And then onto my last swoosh, as I said, from the tip this time going up. See, I had a little bit of glitter where I didn't want it, so I just wiped it away with, just clean off my brush, wet it with monomer and then clean it off. And here I'm just working on that little swoosh. Now, I've rubbed it on so much in this video, so I'm just going to let you watch me play with glitter. Right, so this is the design all laid down. I'm loving it, I really am. So now I need to encapsulate all of the glitter and these nails, make sure I've got the correct structure, and then I'm going to file them back to shape, refine the surface of the nail, ready to finish. And here they are all filed. I'm just loving how this set looked. So I'm going to give it a good clean over with my cleanser. Don't pull out your client's nails like this. Normally I do all of this cleaning when I've done the filing before I come back and film, and I didn't do it quite the way I normally do, so I had to give it a really good clean at this point, which meant getting the nails out, but it was just me not being very organised. So good clean over, get rid of any dust, fluff, any little bits and pieces I don't want in the finished nail, and then I'm going straight in with Tina Top. I didn't want to add any more to this design. The glitter was the star of this show, and I wanted to keep it the star of this show. So just going to do a nice coat of Tina Top onto all of these nails, and then this one is finished. Well, after I've cured it, obviously. And I loved how this turned out. I had an idea in my head. I had a vision. So I've been doing designs with all of the Cozy Collection Elite, not all of them in videos. I thought I'd do at least 2 videos, but I've done designs. And I had this idea for the design video, and I loved how it turned out. I really do. I think this is the sort of design I'm going to do again in slightly different colours, and maybe change up the colour block a bit. So they're all cured. This design is finished. I would love to know what you think of this design. I really loved how it turned out. We are nearly at the end of the first glitter and colour of the week. So check out my Instagram and Facebook for other designs. But we'll be back next week with the next colour and glitters. Check out the description box for product links, details, and don't forget to use Helen5 for a little discount at the nail team. I'd love it if you gave this video a thumbs up, and I'd love it even more if you click subscribe to my channel. Have a fabulous Friday evening and weekend, and I will see you again very soon. Thanks so much for watching. Mwah!